You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems. Well, perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground.
We have serious problems to solve, and we need serious people to solve them. Republicans and Democrats.
All right, folks, well, happy Saturday morning. This is Finding Common Ground, and I'm one of the crew here, Mr. Big Robinson, and I also have with me this morning the usual left chair co-host, Mr. Bryce Robbins, and the old school left chair co-host, Mr. Dave Brown. So good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Not bad. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Ready to talk about the world.
I am learning all kinds of new stuff for the day job using brain cells I haven't fired off since my networking days at DirecTV. So my brain has been mush for the last 2 days. I'm finally starting to feel like normal again. And the sad thing is it's only a temporary assignment, so I'm waking up all these brain cells. It's only going to last 3 weeks, then I'm going to have to go back to the other job and be like, what? I'm so confused. But anyway, it's been an interesting change of pace. I've been surrounded by a bunch of nerds again. It's kind of fun. Like, I walked in and sat down because they had a shadowing for the first day because we still don't have our accesses, and they're like, well, you guys are going to do some training later, but the trainer doesn't come in until 10, so just sit with these folks and kind of pay attention to what they're doing, see if you have any questions. First thing they started doing was talking about whether Star Trek Voyager or Star Trek DS9 was a better TV show, and then they went into Doctor Who. I'm like, I am surrounded by my peoples. It was great.
Very nice. Well, good. I'm glad that is going well.
Yeah, sadly, it'll only last for like 3 weeks, and I'm going to be like, I have to go back. What? No, don't make me. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Actually, the director of the entire project made me aware of another position that's expanding that's working about 6 blocks from where I am right now, and he's like, you should really try there. I figure if the director of a project says apply, you should probably apply. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so anyway, enough about me. So what's going on with you two? I know Bryce has been knee-deep in finals. He says they're not kicking his ass, but I haven't heard from him in like a week, so I'm pretty sure that's a lie. Just kidding.
No, I've just been knee-deep in some books, that's all. Essays, books, studying, tests. It's not kicking my ass. I honestly noted, and maybe this is just for me. I don't know how other people feel about this. But college isn't so hard unless you make it hard. So if you choose to, go out on your Friday nights before finals, it might be harder than if you just studied. And I feel as though that might be the problem for a lot of people.
Well, I'm just saying, you're in college now. You're really supposed to be knee-deep into something else besides books.
Oh, my goodness. Well, nope, sticking to my studies.
So before we get to the main topic that we had talked about opening with, this actually brought up, it's kind of an interesting corollary. I cannot remember the name of the university because I don't have the article in front of me, but there was a certain university that has students calling for what they call nap spaces because, sometimes it's really hard being in college and it takes a long time to get back to your dorm, and they're just wanting communal areas where they can take naps. Does that seem weird to anybody else?
No, I know that Google does that. They have nap pods because it just makes you more productive. I read that 20-minute naps during the day can actually be incredibly beneficial to you. So I just think new age ideas based on science, just because they sound a little weird doesn't mean that they are. I don't know. It sounds like it has a basis in science and that it can help students improve, then why not?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, on the surface, it's like, God, you bunch of wussies. But then when you actually look at what sleep can do and having a spot where you can just, relax, and it maybe even if they didn't call them nap spaces, have little relaxation areas throughout the campus, then maybe people wouldn't, look at it so weird. I mean, but this just goes to show how divided the country is. Someone comes up with an idea that isn't, to me, doesn't sound like it's trying to be just, oh, we're just a bunch of wussy, whiny crybabies and we need everything handed to us, to, hey, here's some research that's been done that says this could be helpful. So immediately one half of the country is like, you bunch of wimps, you people suck, entitled little brats. And the other half of the country is like,
stop channeling me, sir. I'm not dead yet. Stop channeling me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, to be also fair, I would put it more so as we could go down to the library and it's already a nap space for many. I mean, the amount of work that kids get in school, which they should, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, is a lot. And definitely, kids are pulling all-nighters. And whether that's their fault for not doing it in a timely fashion or just the fact that they had a lot of work, I don't really know. But the fact of the matter is that there are already places around school where you'll go and you'll see people sleeping because of, they're just tired, and having a nap space, I guess. I'll take Google's word for it. Apparently, it makes you more productive. So I don't know. I understand that a lot of people would call it, would refer to these people or my generation as entitled, like Dave said, but I disagree. I'd say that this is pretty well sound in science and can make students more productive. And if that's the case, why not?
You had to pull out the science card. All I was trying to do was make a joke, and you had to get all serious. No, I'm just playing. No, I was just honestly looking for a different perspective, because I honestly have to admit it was something that was brought up during the Robinson and Wright show last night, and I actually hadn't heard about it or really looked into it. But it does seem that there is a pretty big backlash from it, from the older generation that are like, oh my God, you need a place to take a nap? Really? Just go back to your dorm, take a damn nap. But, I get it. Things are changing. I mean, the Japanese culture has been a big fan of. I mean, honestly, in Japanese culture, if you're now, just to compare the two, in America, your boss catches you sleeping at your desk, you're fired. In Japan, your boss catches you sleeping at your desk, it's a sign of respect because it means you're working your ass off for the man. He's like, oh my God, he's working so hard, he passed out at his desk. That is a great Japanese person. In America, they're like, you lazy bastard, quit playing video games till 4 a.m. and get your work done. Just, yeah, a little bit of a contrast.
No, that's definitely fair. I mean, we could find contrasts in Japanese and American society in a lot of ways. But, there's a lot of, comparisons and contrasts. But, I think that with students from, especially ages 18 to 21-ish, you're still growing, you're still developing, you definitely need a lot of sleep. I mean, they even say that we should be extending the school day for elementary school later so that kids can wake up later. And I think if we look at where the school systems were developed and how they were developed, I mean, a lot of them aren't even based on anything that is beneficial to the students. They're just based on factories and preparing kids for factories. So I don't know if our current model of school is necessarily the best model for schooling.
And in that, I would actually agree. I mean, the one thing that has driven me crazy after being a business owner and in management for the majority of my adult life in one form or another, we have all of these different tests that teach us the different ways that people learn once they get to the point where they're in a job. I mean, that was one of the things that Convergys loved to do. They would put out these tests when you first started that said, oh, you best learn by doing X, Y, and Z, or you learn best by doing D, E, and F. So we have all of these different ways that we know through these testing that people are better suited to learn, and that not everybody learns in the same ways, and yet we don't implement these things in our education system or even in our employment system. And that is one of the things that I don't understand, because with as much as we are struggling in the world anymore with keeping up with the education of the rest of the world, the fact that we are smart enough to know that people learn in different ways, and yet we choose not to use it in some way that would make it constructive, doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, maybe I'm just old, and maybe I looked at it as kind of a first blush pass thing. I'm not sure if a nap zone would be a good idea, a bad idea, one way or the other. I know I'd prefer a nap zone at work, but that would probably get me fired.
Well, I've always said working in call centers, there needs to be a communal bong when you walk in the door. You take a hit, and then there's a bag of Oreos and Doritos right next to it. You grab your munchies, you head onto your desk, and it's a good day.
Hey,
you could legally do that in Colorado and California.
Actually, it's kind of becoming legal in a lot of places now.
As it should be.
Slowly but surely.
Well, it looks as though Jeff Sessions will be trying to change that, and I hope he doesn't. But, I mean, it is Jeff Sessions, the guy who apparently called a former Assemblyman associate that he worked with the N-word and called him boy. So, I don't know if this guy's going to be so forward-thinking on pot when he said that good people don't smoke weed or marijuana.
Dude, are we even going to bother talking about this crap show that is the coming apocalypse of Trump administration? He is picking nothing but just horrible people for all these positions. The vast majority of them have no experience in whatever it is they're going to be doing. Ben Carson, for fart's sakes, he's a surgeon, and I'm using air quotes here, and he is over HUD This man has specifically talked out against social services for the poor, and we're going to put him in charge of the housing for the poor. Great idea. And then you get Scott Pruitt, our wonderful attorney general from the great state of Oklahoma, Nimrod and a half that man is, and he who has sued the EPA on a multitude of occasions, wasting lots of our taxpayer dollars, is going to be running the EPA? Does this guy even understand anything about the environment? No. Well, how about we actually, hire people that have experience in this industry or these jobs? One of the few people that I haven't laughed at is actually Linda McMahon running the small business thing, because she actually ran a small business. When she and her husband Vince McMahon bought the WWF at the time from his dad, it was a small regional company that was in the Northeast, and they expanded. She actually knows about small business, so I'm sure she'll do a fine job. All these other jamokes that they're picking out, it's scary. It's like, hey, let me find every crackpot, crazy-ass activist who has some wacky opinion about something but no experience in actually what governance is half the time, or the ones that did a crappy job at it, and we're going to put them in some of the biggest offices in this country. So it's, in a way, it's like watching the state government of Oklahoma be moved up to a national level, and we can see how well it's worked for us in our booming economy here in the Sooner State.
I just want to throw out a number here. So I've been reading about Ben Carson as the Department of Housing and Urban Development. First of all, their budget for that department is $48.9 billion. $48.9 billion. This man, he didn't even grow up in public housing. So I think the mentality that maybe Donald Trump had was like, oh, well, this guy came from nothing. He came from a poor black community. So he's going to revolutionize our urban communities of minorities and get them all, like him. Maybe that was the mentality. I don't know. But this guy has absolutely no experience. It's not like he's even a real estate agent. Like, he has absolutely no clue what he's doing. He's a doctor or surgeon, whatever. He has no experience. And then Bobby Valentine may be the ambassador to Japan, the former Mets baseball player who screwed them for millions and went off to play in the Japanese league. That makes him qualified because he was a baseball player in Japan? This doesn't freaking make sense.
That's like if you got Kenny Omega, who is American and wrestles for New Japan Pro Wrestling and is fluent in Japanese. You said, hey, Kenny, I'm going to need you to be the ambassador to Japan.
It's like if I put my dad as the head of the U.S. Department of Agriculture because he has a garden in his backyard. It's ridiculous, and it's just it's so like beyond me that Donald Trump said, "Oh, I'm going to bring in the best people. The best people are going to be running the show." Never named the best people, and I hope the people who voted for him are now looking at the people he's bringing in and realizes that, these are not the best people. And if you look at the areas that voted for Donald Trump, deep in the South, Midwestern states, these are the poorest per capita states. Per county, per capita, they're the poorest. And the people who are going to get hurt the most are these exact people. And it honestly breaks my heart to see how many people think they're going. I mean, look at the people from Carrier right now. Did you not see that the union leader who represents that factory was saying, well, no, the jobs are still being largely shipped overseas, and Carrier's still looking to make robots essentially take over most of these people's jobs. So they are actually saying that a lot of these jobs are not even saved. But Donald Trump fucking runs around saving 800 jobs. Meanwhile, Barack Obama saved a freaking entire auto industry in the United States. And he doesn't get credit really for that. So,
you're talking about government motors, son. I'm not going to buy with them their government motors cars.
Oh, exactly. But meanwhile, GM has rebounded. All the American auto industry has paid back all their loans to the United States federal government. Are doing better than ever, better fuel standards than ever, selling better cars than ever before. But it's not like he saved millions of jobs doing that. But you know what? Forget Obama. He's Kenyan or something like that. I don't even know.
He's not even American. Damn Muslim.
It disturbs me so much that the man who literally galvanized the birther movement is going to succeed our first African American president.
Well, in a way, it's the pendulum swinging. So the pendulum swung really far in the fact we had the first black president who, because of some of the ways he conducted himself early on, he really aggravated a lot of people and was pretty far left, much farther left than any of our other recent presidents in history. And so what's going to happen is the pendulum's going to swing back. And now that, thanks in part to the internet and the way that we have become such a segregated niche society, it swung back hardcore, because we now have a guy who is at the very least racist adjacent in the White House, who is scarier than all that, is a vindictive son of a bitch. He has gone after individuals who dare question him and unleashed his Twitter fire. And we know Ricky has been on the receiving end of Twitter fire from Trump followers. So we know he feels this pain. This is what we're in for at least 4 years, ladies and gentlemen. How long before we're all in the gulag? I'm thinking I got about maybe 6 months.
Well, I think I have like 2 months, because he asked for a list of everybody who worked on Barack Obama's climate change policy. He asked for a list of their names. I wonder what's going to happen to them. I mean, for God's sakes, at this point, right, the world and scientists around the world alike have determined that climate change is perhaps one of the biggest problems we face as a planet, and we've committed ourselves over this past 4 years to really taking on the challenge of stopping climate change, and Barack Obama has been at the helm of it. And now some bimbo who's literally tweeted, "It's cold out in New York City, where's the global warming?" in the middle of winter. I mean, it doesn't get much stupider than that. This guy is just genuinely stupid. And now if you look in the news, they're coming for your Social Security. Apparently the House Republicans just passed in the new spending bill or something like that. They want to raise the age and take away some benefits. I mean, for God's sakes, it literally does not happen. But for some reason, they're coming for it. And I guarantee you, that pension, that all those coal miners, I was just reading about this, all these coal miners who want their health benefits and their pensions, well, it's getting taken away from them by the House Republicans. They're coming for your stuff, and people don't realize that.
Scary times. How about you, Ricky? There, you've been awful quiet.
I'm just letting you two have your little back and forth about how terrible everything's going to be, and kind of keeping an eye on the board. I mean, look, at this point, I don't know what's going to happen. And we can agree to disagree on some of his cabinet picks. I mean, some of them are kind of crazy. I'm not sure. I mean, honestly, you guys are going to hate this, but I actually kind of like the fact that somebody that's been going toe-to-toe with the EPA for some crazy shit is actually going to get a chance to run the EPA. Because maybe we can get it back to its actual mandate, which is to keep the water clean and the air clean instead of all this crazy government overreach. But hey, who knows? Maybe it'll blow up in our faces. I don't know. But the thing that annoys me about all of this is there's no such thing as anywhere near a right answer or even a safe answer anymore. Because still, even though the election was decided now over a month ago, people are still just as divided today as they were on November 7th. And that doesn't seem to be going away. If anything, it actually seems like it's getting worse. And that's part of what is astounding to me, because even in 2008, when I had no idea that Barack Obama was going to win, none at all, I still tried to give the man a chance. Nobody is willing to do that here. We still have just as many people today complaining about the popular vote as we did on November the 9th. We still have just as many people today saying that the Electoral College voters need to vote their conscience as we did on November the 9th. We are not coming together. The only thing that we're succeeding in doing at this point is the only people that are coming together are the ones that are willing to bash a presidential candidate. I, for one, am kind of tired of it all the way around, because we're still Americans, and whatever we're stuck with, we have to try to find a way to make it work. So I don't know what to do here anymore. But what Go ahead.
You're making a good point, but to be fair, you're right. I'm hoping, I'm trying to give the man a benefit of the doubt, especially after his election night little speech that he gave that was really good up until he started thanking people, and then it got weird. But I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt, but then he just keeps appointing idiots, man. And I just blows my mind. And I'm still, once he's in there, I'm going to give him a chance. Maybe he'll turn around. Maybe he'll realize the poo that he is in, and he's floating down Pooh River on a stick, trying to keep the poo out of his mouth. We'll see what happens, because it's going to be a lot bigger job than I think he realizes. And I agree with you there. We need to give the man the benefit of the doubt, and the people that are screaming as such about the popular vote and the Electoral College should vote their conscience and whatnot and all that good stuff. And, legally, constitutionally, the Electoral College can do that. That having been said, I want to ask those same people, how pissed were you 8 years ago when folks on the right were doing the same crap to Barack Obama? Ricky,
he never said he was going to deport all these illegal immigrants, or basically 11 million people. He never said he was going to ban Muslims. He never said all these extremist things.
Bryce.
So the folks on the right, they thought he was saying extremist things.
Hey, if we want to start talking about comparisons, how about the fact that the Affordable Care Act was supposed to have all of its hearings televised on C-SPAN? Did that happen? What about the fact that we were all supposed to get a chance to read it before it got passed? Then it turned into we have to pass it to find out what's in it. There are plenty of things that we could be going back now through the lens of history and look at things that Barack Obama said in 2008 that never happened. And I was one of those people. No, there is no huge difference. He lied to the American people over and over and over again. Whether they were small lies or big lies doesn't matter. They were still lies. He told people... No, there is no difference. He told people what they needed to hear to get him elected. If Donald Trump turns out to have done just that, I will be one of the first people standing up to rally against him. But in 2008, just like now, I'm trying to give the man a chance and listen to what he said on Victory Night and see where we go from there.
Yes, but the scary thing is that Donald Trump has galvanized a nation on so many topics based on hate. And under Barack
Obama, Black Lives Matter has become so prominent that they were burning cities once a year for 8 years. So tell me where the difference lies, Bryce.
Black Lives Matter. That's not Black Lives Matter. That's not Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter is only a couple of years old, if that. Yeah. Have things racially been overheated since the election of Barack Obama? Yes. Has he brought people together like we hope he would? Absolutely not. Part of that was just the way he behaved when he was in office at first, not having the humility he should have. And that's the thing. My whole point with all of this is if you are someone who is on the left side of things and it pissed you off 8 years ago when people were saying Barack Obama is not my president, and all of that kind of stuff, if you are now turning around and saying these same kinds of things about Donald Trump, you need to check yourself. Because yes, there is a difference in their rhetoric. There's a difference in things, but remember, based on perspective, folks on the right were just as worried about Barack Obama as folks on the left are with Donald Trump. My point is, and it's in a lot of ways I'm agreeing with Ricky here, is that you have to give the man benefit of the doubt, but if it was okay, I mean, it's stop being hypocrites is basically what I'm saying. And this happens all the time. It's under George W. Bush, something was awful. Oh, Barack Obama's doing it. Oh, it's fine now. Barack Obama was doing something. Oh, it's awful. Donald Trump turns around and gets prepared to do the same thing. Oh, it's fine now. It's that kind of horse shit that bugs me.
Let me just offer this thought though. People hated Barack Obama because of people like Donald Trump who stirred the pot of racism and hate. People hate Donald Trump not because of that, but because of what he's said. Because of what he's done. Not because what other people have done, but because what he's said and what he's done. Barack Obama has never done any it's almost disgusting to compare him to this buffoon we have in office. And for God's sakes, the Affordable Care Act mostly helps the people who are voting for Donald Trump and has provided insurance to 20 million people. If we repealed it, it would take it away for the vast majority of those people and would literally be killing people.
Hey, we're up against a hard break, but that doesn't change the fact that he lied about what he said he was going to do. And also, there are plenty of people just like me that tried to give Barack Obama the benefit of the doubt until the first time that the man stood in front of the world on a camera before he knew all the facts and said, well, the police behaved stupidly in this incident. That was retarded.
Donald Trump said the same thing about. He said the same thing about the cop in I think Louisiana or something like that, in Baton Rouge. He said, I can't imagine why the cop would shoot someone like that. What a sad incident. He was I was shocked when he said that.
Except the difference is, Bryce, President-elect Donald Trump is not in office yet. If he starts doing the same things that Barack Obama did and keeps going off half-cocked before he knows all the facts, then yes, I will have a problem, because that is when I started having a problem with Barack Obama, because that type of thing does not make things better, it makes things worse. When you have a president who stands up before he knows all of the facts and starts using rhetoric to get people stirred up, that is a problem. A president-elect doing it? Not quite so much yet. So we'll see if he tones it down after the election. If he doesn't, I promise you I will be one of the first people standing up saying that we need to do something. But
it is after the election, and he hasn't toned it down.
He has not been sworn in yet, Bryce.
Yeah, but he should. His demeanor should have changed as soon as he became president-elect. He is now in a whole new world, and he has just continued to behave like the same stupid idiot. Yeah, I don't want to insult children. So, hey, we have a hard break, so let's pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems, but perhaps...
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems, but perhaps there is a simple answer. Not an easy answer, but simple.
It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common ground. It's common.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. It's Saturday morning right here on KLRNradio.com. We are at the bottom of the hour, just finished the last break of the show, and we've been having a pretty heated discussion about differences between Barack Obama and Donald Trump. I'd like to set that topic aside if you guys are done with it, because there was another one that we were going to get to, and we kind of got caught up in a back and forth. And it's kind of the same general idea because it's rhetoric. That would be the fact that I believe I think it was Thursday night, actually. There was a hashtag that started trending on Twitter that was boycott Star Wars. For those of you living under a rock, there is a new Star Wars movie, Rogue One, that actually begins airing next week. And it is, I'm not exactly sure how to describe it. Is it a sequel to a prequel or a prequel to the sequel?
No, it's part of what are being called, or what originally were called, Star Wars stories. They're movies that take place. They're like not spin-offs. They're movies that fill in the gaps in between other events. So this is a film that specifically takes place in between episodes 3 and 4 and tells the story of how the rebels got their hands on the plans of the Death Star. So it's not a direct sequel or prequel to the traditional Star Wars saga. It is a standalone movie in that universe that is connecting pieces. So in a way, it's like what the books used to do that would try to fill in gaps, but now because Disney wants all that Star Wars money, they're going to pump out one of these things once a year.
They actually said after this trilogy is filmed, I remember reading that they're just going to be pumping out standalone movies. So, yeah, we have till 2019 with the trilogy, and then we're done, I think.
Well, no, I think the overall plan right now is, at least while the trilogy is running, what they're going to do is there's going to be a new trilogy movie every 2 years, and there'll be a standalone movie in the middle. Now, what they do after the trilogy is concluded, I don't know. But the interesting thing about all this, and let's put this in perspective, the hashtag boycott Star Wars started because some of Donald Trump's more loyal supporters were stating that Disney somehow, in the span of 5 weeks, went back and changed the ending of the Rogue One movie to basically bash Donald Trump. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about one of the darkest times in the Star Wars universe. We're talking about the time between Anakin falling to the dark side and becoming Darth Vader to them bringing Luke Skywalker, his son, onto the scene and starting to put events in motion that would eventually bring about the New Republic again, at least in the old universe. I'm not sure that ever fully happened in the new one. But anyway, so the interesting thing is, in order for them to think this is possible, that would mean that they would have had to have gone back, reshot an ending sequence, or have already shot an alternate ending sequence, and then released the movie with whichever one would have best suited their purposes. One, that's bad business. because it's a waste of money. These movies are not cheap to produce. Even to go back and change an ending sequence would have been monumentally expensive. To shoot more than one would have also been monumentally expensive, especially to make a political statement. 2, to read into this that you're seeing what some are afraid may happen under Donald Trump, and you're saying, well, they did that on purpose because they don't like him. 1, it proves just how afraid you are psychologically of your own candidate that you've supposedly supported this entire time. And 2, it shows, in my opinion, just how unbalanced some of them are, because they're accusing an entire organization of reworking a movie for a political statement. That doesn't make any sense to me.
And I also love the fact that the movie hasn't even come out yet and no one's seen the ending. So all these people are like, they changed the ending. How would you know that? You haven't seen it.
YouTube,
you
yo.
Call me crazy.
Hackers, yo.
It's okay. So Emperor Palpatine in this movie, in this whole thing, is a totalitarian leader. And he rules with an iron fist. And I remember when the prequel trilogy was out, and that moment in episode 3 where Palpatine says the Jedi attacked him, and that they're reorganizing the government into the Great Galactic Empire, and the place went up in applause, and Natalie Portman, Padme or Panda Bear, whatever her name was like, this is how liberty dies, to thunderous applause. And at the time, people were like, it's about George W. Bush. Well, it's in a lot of ways, these movies express a fear that we have of totalitarian and authoritarian governments. If you can take that and use it as an analogy or a what's the other word?
An allegory?
Damn it. Anyway, allegory. If you can use it as an allegory for whatever's going on in modern society, then that means the art's probably doing its job. I mean, hell, this original Star Wars trilogy, they say some of Palpatine was based on Nixon. So it's are people scared of authoritarian governments coming to take their rights away? Absolutely. I will let people decide whether or not there's any coincidence that a lot of this happens to fall during potential Republican or hard right-wing administrations. I'll let you decide on that. This is totally a joke, but that's what it is. And yeah, it's terrible business. I mean, it's for the love of God, they're filling in a story that's already written. They're filling in holes. So yeah, people need to stop being stupid.
I just find it odd that the right wing, I mean, for example, we were talking about nap time before. They bitch about people taking naps at school, but we're the entitled one. They're bitching about a freaking movie that's already been filmed, and they're crying that, oh, it represents our candidate for president. It's ridiculous. We're the left is the whiny ones. They're whining about a Star Wars film not even released in theaters yet, claiming it's about their candidate, who is in fact preaching and espousing totalitarian like crap.
Well, let's be fair. It's there's plenty of whinery going on in both the left and the right.
No, I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying that if the left is going to be portrayed as, if we're going to call it as we see it, and the left is being portrayed as the whiny, young generation, well, we're not the ones bitching about a Star Wars movie. For God's sakes, that is whining to the max. I mean, first of all,
but to be fair, a lot of you youngsters do bitch about people using the wrong word at the wrong time.
And gender being fluid and all kinds of other weird things. Not to mention the fact, can you guys really call the left the young group anymore, since both of your candidates were Jurassic? Just asking for a friend.
You know what's scary about that is this is the first time in American politics that the baton of power went back
backwards.
a generation.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
I mean, is Barack Obama going to be Generation X's only president? I'm starting to fear that he is.
For those of us that are part of Generation X, let that sink in for a second. Just
wait, but hang on. I got to mention, because I think it'd be bad if I didn't mention it, but to say that hollering about and complaining about quote unquote weird things and then saying, like gender fluidity and stuff like that, I don't think that that's weird. I think that that's people trying to, speak to people who have never been heard in our society. And just because people who aren't used to it think that that's weird, I completely disagree. And I think that the left is probably doing what should be done. And that means become more inclusive and accepting of everybody, as opposed to demonizing people for their lifestyle. So
he's not wrong there, Rick.
I never said he was wrong. I just enjoy giving him grief.
All right, no, I'm just saying I don't think it's weird at all. I think that that most of our society is probably bisexual, but we just don't know about it.
Did he just out himself on radio? Because it kind of sounded like he just outed himself on radio. I'm just saying.
No, not at all, not at all. But I'm just saying I would imagine that there are more people who are bisexual than we would think. But we live in a very sexually repressed society. I mean, I don't think the human mind has changed much since Greece and Rome. And it really just depends on our society. Our society happens to be incredibly sexually repressed. I mean, that's very hard to refute, that we are one of the most, that Western culture is incredibly repressive when it comes to people's sexual orientations or sexualities and stuff like that. And I think it's an honest discussion that we hate to have in this country. But if you go to like Finland and Denmark, they're teaching kids about sex ed when it's not like a stigmatized topic. In our country, it is, and I think that as a result, people aren't who they want to be, and we cast it out as, oh, that's a left standpoint, that's a liberal standpoint, but it shouldn't be. It should be the American standpoint, because quote unquote all men are created equal. Everybody's equal. So if everybody's equal, then I don't see how people complaining about not being heard in society is a weird thing, or it just doesn't make sense. Everybody's equal, then everybody's equal, and we should be more open about these topics, because it's not like this is going to make our country go more into debt, or it's not like it's going to be raising taxes on people if my neighbors can be, happier in their lifestyle choices. That doesn't bother me. It shouldn't bother anybody. It's back to the thought.
And you were right on that. We are a just grotesquely sexually oppressed society, which is ironic considering how sexualized everything is. But you compare it to places like Japan, where they're really open about that stuff, and I mean, hell, it's all up in their cartoons all over the place, and it's just no big deal. I mean, sexuality in Japan, in Europe, in lots of parts of Europe, is no big deal. Here, my God, we impeached a president over it, for Pete's sake. It's just, yeah, and this, having said all of that, I don't want to have any of these conversations with my kids. None at all. Not comfortable doing it. Don't want to. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Just to bring up something that honestly, after some research and a few other things that have come to light, I don't really necessarily think that the impeachment of Bill Clinton had very much at all to do with the acts. Now there are two things. One, what everybody got the most upset about was the fact that he lied under oath and said that he didn't do those things. But there were some other interesting things that were starting to come out around that time, and I'm really starting to wonder if at some point he wasn't basically coerced, because as a former attorney, who doesn't have the brains to say, hey, this is a private matter between myself and my wife and shall remain such, and it is being addressed there. That would have been enough to get him off the hook for impeachment. But there were all kinds of things that were just starting to come to light that were happening towards the end of the Reagan years that people didn't know about. Like the fact that the CIA was integral in some of the drug smuggling because they were using those monies to fund the Iran-Contra situation. That stuff was just starting to come to light. As a matter of fact, the day that Bill Clinton threw missiles at an aspirin factory was the day that the story broke about Iran-Contra. But nobody was talking about Iran-Contra because he threw missiles at an aspirin factory.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of theories that
had come out though under the Reagan administration. He apologized for it, and
well, no, hang on. I'm not talking about the issue itself. I'm talking about the fact that the CIA had been secretly running drugs to fund that entire operation. That part didn't come to light until the 90s. That story broke the day that Bill Clinton threw missiles at an aspirin factory. But everybody was talking about the missiles at the aspirin factory instead.
Yeah, and the conspiracy theory is, and it actually, based on what information you look into, might have some legitimacy. Of course, it's something we'll never know, but is that basically Bill Clinton jumped on the sword. He took the hit because someone with more power than he had told him, your ass is going down. What's really going on in the background is not coming out, or he felt that he needed to save whatever the government was doing, and he wanted to be the smokescreen for that. Because otherwise, you look at him and you're like, how did you not learn the biggest mistake that Richard Nixon made? How did you not learn from that? Because the whole Monica Lewinsky thing aside, Bill Clinton did a good job running the country as far as all that's concerned. So yeah, it's entirely possible he jumped on the sword or he was either pushed on the sword or he jumped on it. We'll never know. But yeah, it's wait, how did we get here?
Kind of a roundabout, convoluted way. Somehow we started talking about George Bush and everything else, and then it kind of got to here. But, and I've said this before, and I'm just going to say it again because we do have a lot more folks that listen now than they did the last time I said things like this. The biggest thing with me for Bill Clinton, because, I was in high school under a lot of the Clinton years and in college during some of the other Clinton years. In a lot of ways, he was a damn good president. The economy hummed along under him just fine until they're towards the end, when it turns out that they were doing things to prop up the economy to try to make sure that Al Gore got the next 4 years, which who can blame them for that? Absolute power craves absolute power, and the Democrats wanted to make sure they retained it, so they were doing what they thought they needed to do that. But again, I go back to this whole thing of knowing what we know now with the stories that broke at the very same time that all of this stuff started coming to light. Who, as a former attorney, whether they've been disbarred or not, isn't smart enough to say, I plead the fifth, this is a matter between myself and my wife because it's a private matter? That would have kept him out of trouble with the Senate. It wouldn't have kept him from being crucified in the press, but it would have stopped them from being impeached. So the issue for me is what was really going on behind the scenes that had someone who knew to take the fifth not take the fifth.
I don't know. All I know is that Bill Clinton is the guy who deregulated the banks, and while I like to blame Republicans for it, he's the one who got rid of Glass-Steagall. He signed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He signed DOMA. He signed a lot of bills that hurt a lot of Americans. He passed his Affordable Housing Act, which ended up hurting more people and causing really shoddy bank loans. So, I don't know. I think that my generation really doesn't like the Clintons, and I'm one who really doesn't look at Bill Clinton's presidency as like, oh, he did a pretty good job. I don't agree.
Well, to be fair,
speaking as someone who lived through it, let me tell you this. As far as the day-to-day life of the average working person had more opportunities in the 1990s under the Bill Clinton presidency than they've had since then.
I agree with that, but don't you think that maybe a result of either the final boom of Reaganomics or as a result, and I don't think Reaganomics worked, but I think it definitely provided something.
Hang on. How can you in one sentence say, maybe that was the result of the final Reaganomics boom, but I don't think Reaganomics worked?
No, because I believe that Reaganomics definitely gave a little surcharge, a little charge to the economy, but I don't think it worked to what it was intended to do. We kept going into recession, and supply side economics will not work if you're in recession. So that was the biggest problem, is that we kept going into recession every time he cut taxes. It didn't work.
The thing with Reagan's policies were they worked at that moment, and it started in a lot of ways in a lot of our society and in our companies. It's okay, let's do whatever we have to do to fix things right this second, and we'll not worry about what's going to happen in a year, 2 years, 5 years, because a lot of those policies have in the long run had disastrous outcomes. The gutting of funding for university public education, which was done under the Reagan administration, has been horrible for the long-term effect on this country. It's been awful. And that was something that was done under his watch. The whole signing statements going from just saying, hey, I don't like this bill, but I have to sign it anyway because that's my damn job, to saying, okay, so this bill is only going to affect these people over here, and Dick Cheney and I can never be blamed for anything. Thank you. So that all happened under his watch. He made the country feel great because we came out of some really dark times. And from that standpoint, he was excellent. He was a great talker. He made you feel good about being an American again. But slowly but surely, a lot of people did end up suffering. And in the long term, it hasn't been good. Just like in the long term, some of those fiscal policies that Bill Clinton did with the banks have turned out to be a complete freaking disaster.
But it's like, riddle me this one. Like, with Ronald Reagan, I don't understand why he's revered as this amazing president when poverty increased dramatically from the Carter administration to his administration because of his policies. Income inequality has increased to levels unknown because of his policies that still play out to this day, that were continued under the Bush years, and in some cases actually continued under Clinton. So I don't get what was so amazing about Ronald Reagan that he's revered as this amazing president. He sure as shit didn't seem like he did anything to the people.
Let me take a real quick stab at this, and I'll let Rick go for it. For the people who lived through it, he made you feel great. And so for those who didn't live through it, it's one thing for me to sit back and go, I don't understand how people couldn't have seen Nixon for the shark that he was. That having been said, he actually, as far as the day-to-day management of the country, did a good job. But he was, a totalitarian in sheep's clothing kind of thing. But I wasn't there. So that, from that standpoint, it's hard. You get the 20/20 hindsight of history when you're looking back at a presidency and administration that you didn't live through. That, I think, is something. So, Ricky, let you have the final word since we got to get out of here in a sec.
Yeah, we're about out of time, but just to give Bryce a bit of a contrast through pictures, in the Carter administration, in the last days of the Carter administration, and I remember this because I was young, but I still remember it. I remember sitting in my parents' car as someone who was like 5 years old and waiting 35 minutes in a line to get gas. 35 minutes because of the gas shortages. I remember at one point sitting and waiting in a line and being like fourth or fifth back when that gas station had to shut their pumps down for the day. So we had just enough gas to get to another gas station and wait in line again. If you want to talk about the reason why Reagan was revered in a lot of ways because of the people that had lived through those type of things, he made those type of lines go away. Because at that time, the American populace was starting to get visions of Russia with bread lines and toilet paper lines and everything else, except we had gas lines. So if you want to know why Reagan was revered in a lot of ways, it's again because of the people that actually lived through the policy shift from Carter to Reagan, and the fuel shortages ended, the gas lines stopped, and things were able to continue and move along, and actually under Reagan, the economy did start to improve. Now, we can debate whether or not because this has been my perception for a long time, the U.S. economy is basically like someone who's trying to captain a cruise ship. You cannot turn it on a dime. So when you make course corrections, those course corrections take a very long time to complete. So we can debate whether anything that's happened was actually based on some of what Jimmy Carter did and it just took a long time to catch up, or was it Reagan started to make the changes, they carried on through the Bush years and things kept going for a while through the Clinton years because of how long it takes to change course, and then some of the things that the Clinton administration did started the decline. It's all up for open debate because nobody really knows. But the issue is, without the benefit of history and looking back, and even I have a little bit of a hard time with the Reagan administration, and he happens to be a childhood hero of mine because of some of the things that have come to light after the fact, you still cannot, for those that lived through it, not look back and go, well, the gas lines went away, prices stabilized, and people were able to go back to doing their daily lives instead of spending an hour a day waiting for gas.
Bingo.
But on that note, folks, we are out of time, so we got to go. This has been Finding Common Ground with a very special co-host, the original left chair, and of course Bryce Robbins. And due to prior engagements, Bryce will not be able to do Opinion Nation this week, but it will be back next week, I hope. Maybe.
Sad Panda.
All right, so just so I don't put words in your mouth, next week, go or no go?
Yep, it's a go. Next week's a go.
All right, we're out of here, folks. Have a good night or good day. I do too many different shows at too many different times a day. I'm so confused. I'm out of here.
They say we offer simple answers to complex problems, but perhaps there is a simple answer, not an easy answer.